Welcome back to the Soundcheck Podcast, part of the Feedback Network, the only place that is for the musicians. I'm Dennis Minter, and alongside me today, I've got Alice Haldane,
Hey guys,
and the wonderful Tom Jackson.
How are you doing?
And today we'll be talking about all things small venue for you. But before we do that, little introduction to who we are. It's our first episode, and we want you to know a little bit about us. So, feedback, guys, what can you tell us?
yeah, so feedback is for the musicians, and this is the Soundcheck Podcast, and we just want to bring you more information about how you can expand and grow really as a musician. We're going to have various guests on the podcast, and yeah, it's going to be fun. We're going to keep it fun and fresh, really.
Yeah, loads of tutorials, loads of little snippets of advice from those in the music industry, and everything that you might want to know about how to grow your brand and music as a musician. It's not just about the business side of things. So today we are talking about all things small venue. Obviously, Sheffield has a load of them. The Lead Mill is going to be a hot topic of conversation today. But yeah, we're talking about small venues, and we've brought Tom along with us because he's got a lot of knowledge.
I do.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, Tom.
Tom. So I'm the audio and video manager at Feedback, but the reason why I brought me on today is because as part of my final project, I did a documentary on grassroots music venues. It's called Grassroots Music Venues, A Crisis, and it just follows, explores the decline in grassroots music venues within the UK. And the reason why is because it's an important and vital part of the sort of life cycle of music and performance, going from these tiny little venues where you're getting less than 100 people in these tiny little rooms. It's about those early musicians honing their craft and sort of fleshing out their material, working on their stagecraft in order to get to the giant arenas that you see loads of bands play. But if that dies, then you won't get the arena players.
Yeah, of course. And was there anything that you found particularly that sort of shocked you in your research so far?
Well, I mean, the sort of big headline from Music Venue Trust is that from last year, this was in their annual report. So 125 music venues closed down that year. So that was 2 a week, which is, that's quite a lot. And you think that's the amount of hours of now unperformed music that has gone through, all the sort of potential and the sort of the talent that has now been restricted. It's one of those things where you think, why aren't we all up in arms about it? Because the music industry in the UK is probably one of the biggest exports that we have. And if we're not, everybody here loves music, obviously we're doing the podcast, but if you haven't got those spaces, you won't have the next generation of massive rock stars, massive pop stars, because you don't have that place where you can be really crap in these tiny little venues where your friends and your mum and dad are seeing you. But by the end of it, you get a good show, you learn things, and you learn new ways of how to deal with the audience, how to project yourself, how to craft your stage presence. And it's a big shame that we get these places moving down. And there's another side to it as well, just the people who put on these venues, the owners and the people who work there, they're losing their jobs, they're losing their livelihoods.
100%.
Well, sorry, go on, Alice.
Oh no, I was just going to mention ticket prices. So obviously for these venues and smaller gigs, ticket prices are increasing, and that's obviously discouraging people and students even. What's your opinion on this?
It's well, there's a few factors that come into it. I mean, first of all, cost of living crisis. You will sort of have to make the decision between going out to a gig and, because it's not just the ticket price, it's getting there, the ticket itself, you're going to obviously get some food or something like that, gets drinks, so it all sort of adds up. And there's a sort of a cultural change in the last few years. The sort of pandemic, we didn't have people going to the venues. That sort of, even a breakdown of a year, that has a massive social effect on all of us. And so you get that not reluctancy, I guess, but people aren't going back into their sort of usual ways as quickly as we'd like to have expected. And also just when when you have these sort of small venues putting on this sort of stuff, they often now they don't necessarily know how to reach the audience that they want.
Yeah, so you spoke there about not getting back into things as quickly as maybe we expected, and an interview that I've done for Feedback, the one with the Amazons, I feel like I talk about it all the time, so apologies anyone on our social media who keeps getting blasted with that, but they said the same thing. They said, there needs to be that support of the small music venues. Their first ever one was a tiny little town hall. They broke a load of strings, and you were right. You very much said you have to have somewhere where you are crap.
Yeah.
What is the effect of not having those places on the music industry further? Have you found anything out about that?
Well, so I was speaking to this guy, Matt Bakewell, who's he works with the Music Venue Trust, but he's also a lecturer for so he's a business for IPH. I can't remember the business name, but yeah, so he's very much within the industry, and he was basically saying that when you don't have these things, you won't see it for, you won't see the loss just yet. It'll be in the next 10 years when you'll find there's a massive space being of arenas just being empty, because if we don't have that now, the sort of the little bands going on now, the arenas will be empty in about 10, 20 years.
They need to grow. They need their space to grow.
Oh, yeah,
it's like
totally.
Ed Sheeran, isn't it?
Yeah.
He was, what was the pub in Bath? Was it the Moles?
Yeah, Moles Bar. So that closed down, which was really sad because that was going for 45 years.
Crazy.
So, if you think that's the 80s, so that's the sort of, 80s, 90s, that's the Cure, Radiohead played there. I mean, loads of sort of really huge established acts. Now, and that was a massive place for them to, get hone their craft, and now it's gone. And the reason, and it was going to be saved, but unfortunately, I want to talk about this. The council, sort of the local area, deemed it not culturally special. I can't remember the exact words that they said, but it sets a precedent for other councils to not give these sort of spaces the cultural and sort of the community aspect that they deserve, not just for the bands, but for the local people that go there and the people that work for them. If local councils and stuff like that decide that these places like Moles or like the Leadmill we've got here isn't of any cultural value, that's going to set a precedent for other councils across the UK.
Why do you think that is? I read a stat recently about how the majority of government funding into musical venues always goes into classical and the arts and theatre in terms of that sort of thing. Do you think that maybe because it's not a traditionally a very old school style of art, that therefore that sort of venue closes down, or do you think it's something else?
Well, there's two things for that. So you have the so the actual government music budget is tiny for all arts and culture. It's so small, it's so overstretched. I mean, my auntie, she does a lot of work for Chet. She's a music teacher, but they just find themselves incredibly stretched for what the money that they have to put on the shows that they do. And she works in the classical music era, but it's nothing to do with sort of the pomps and circumstances and stuff like that. It's more to the fact that it's just unrecognised, really. And there was a couple of mid-April time, the Music Venue Trust, who's the biggest lobby for grassroots venues, they had a select committee meeting where they were talking about the Pipeline Investment Fund. So that's where money that's getting donated to the charity gets put into the venues that are closing down or in emergencies. And so that was a really good day for music venues, because it was I watched the whole thing and I felt that they were listened to, and I felt that the arguments that were put across. I mean, there was some arenas and stuff like that. People talking from there also on there, and they all sort of seemed they had that the agreement that if you lose the grassroots bit, you're not going to have the arena players in the next 10 years or so.
As we're based in Sheffield, have you got anything to say about Leadmill as a venue?
Leadmill, I think Leadmill's obviously a great venue. It's got a massive history. Obviously, like Def Leppard, Arctic Monkeys. There's a massive music scene in Sheffield, and some of the best musicians coming out today. I think we listen to We Hate the Shark Man. They're one of the best bands that are coming out of Sheffield at the moment. And I was so for my documentary, I filmed with this band Jumper Boy, and they were telling me that they over the last few years they've been playing. They've lost some really nice, really small venues. So the Leadmill is actually quite a big venue.
It's massive.
When we're saying Grassroots, we can scale it down a lot. So it is Cafe. They were quite. It was Cafe. What was it called?
Was it Cafe Music? Maybe.
No. So it was. There's the Picture Project and Totem, Cafe Totem. Okay. That's it. Yeah. So that closed down permanently, and that was a really shame. It was these sort of small little hubs, these sort of small little ecosystems that are just getting constantly ground down. And I think there's the Leadmill. The Leadmill is a little bit different.
Yeah. I mean. So I want to talk about this because when I first arrived in Sheffield, I thought, oh, brilliant, right? The Leadmill will go there like it's a bit of cultural history. Everybody knows about it, especially if you're into music. And I was surprised by the lack of smaller artists there. It runs similarly to my best comparison would be the O2 Academy.
Yeah, I was going to say
places.
that,
They have a similar caliber of band, and that's great. And they bring some really I've been to some good gigs at the Leadmill there. But I mean, obviously there was such an outpouring of emotion when it was. Well, we'll get into this into a second. When it was supposedly being shut down, about we're going to lose this great scene, and maybe we are. It's a great gig venue. But do small bands really play there? I'm not sure.
No, you go.
Yeah, there's hurdles that go along in the way with it. So I'm trying to help my friend's band Polat at the moment because you need to have stuff recorded, even if it's just something on Spotify or anything like that. You need to have it's small, but it's the next stage up from just playing with your mates. You need to have some sort of video content. I filmed them with Forge TV, so I gave them that. And there's you need to have a bit of a reputation. So Matilda Shakes and Marples, they played a couple of months ago. Fantastic gig as well. And they're Matilda Shakes and Marples are sort of like the established acts in Sheffield at the moment. So they're going to get it. But if you're coming outside of it, it's they're going to be bigger acts outside of Sheffield because they like to support the local stuff. But
and they definitely do a lot of different genres because I feel like the Leadmill had its kind of set kind of genre, but now they're kind of welcoming all sorts of different
you have to
artists.
diversify. You have to diversify. There's no point now, unless you live in London, where you can have a jazz club or a blues club or anything. You can stick to the genre, but anywhere outside of that, you have to diversify. Otherwise, you are just going to close down because you're going to get you put your Friday, Saturday shows are going to be a big draw-ins, and then you're going to have to really jazz it up. Throughout the rest of the week to get the other punters in to sort of make your margins by the end of it, your EBITs.
It's where different scenes in England come from. I mean, you look at the Hacienda in Manchester. They had different nights on, and they were one of the first in the country to sort of do so. And at first, absolutely, they were. It was not a successful business, but the great thing that they did for the music industry was basically bring over the dance scene to England. And look, that had its ties with ecstasy, the drug, and all that sort of stuff as well. But
that could be another podcast.
No, exactly. But the work that they did in bringing, regardless of how unpopular it was, it established a scene. So months into it, I know obviously not every business can run like this, and I know cost of living crisis, COVID as well. The impact that must have had on a lot of small venues by not being able to afford that anymore. And this is where we need the funding from the government or just people.
I think government funding wouldn't help as much as you think. I think the better route to go down is a ticket levy.
Yeah,
I really think make sure that it's ring fenced, that it will go to the local venues that it supports. So £1 on an arena ticket is it's not the end of the world. When I talked to sort of audience members whilst I was doing the documentary, I said, would you be happy to pay for it? And they go, yeah, I mean, it is another £1, but
Well,
if they know it's going into...
Ticketmaster charge like £3 or £4 per ticket on like a service charge. Like, if you honestly, if you added an extra £1 to that, and they've
also expressed that they'd like to do that, and as long as it's the pound that you put in is the pound that comes out, then that's fine.
Yeah.
If they did it any other way, where it's if it was sort of for tax purposes or anything, if did it as a tax write-off, that's not the same.
Yeah,
it has to make sure that you got the pounds going from your bank to the Grassroots music venue.
The difference is as well, and I think it's important to sort of touch on this, is musicians getting their sort of merchandise sort of taxed by certainly big venues as well is a massive part of it. A lot of musicians will go searching and they'll go, right, you can't sell your merch in here unless we get 50-60% of the thing. And
often the bands just take it outside and say,
yeah, exactly,
we only take cash.
Exactly.
There's a cash machine down the road. Do you want to do that?
But
you
shouldn't have to do that.
It's not good practice, really.
I went to a comedy night in London, and basically it was free entry. You enjoyed the acts, and then at the end you could donate money. They'd stand at the door, and then you would pay kind of the price that you felt you wanted to pay. And I don't know, what's your opinion on that for the music scene? Is there stuff out there
Honor
like
System's
that?
quite good. I mean, I went to Make Noise Studio, and they often have, it's never really ticketed in there. And Make Noise is another local Sheffield club, and they put loads of amazing bands on, and you just want to say, stick a $5 on or something like that. Just anything, really. I think it's better to have that. The free entry entices you, and if you had a really good night, it's not going to kill you
Is that enough, though? I mean, I know I'm sat here sort of, preaching over, you must pay for your music. But what's the last time?
We don't pay for our music in the whole culture. We don't pay for our music. We all have Spotify. We pay for a monthly subscription. We don't pay for music.
All of us here will have Spotify easily. It's a massive part of the problem is there needs to be a way. That's become too easy. Is it too late? I mean, can they pedal back now from those licensing agreements where Spotify can, give you it's not even a quarter of a penny, is it, per stream?
It's 0.03
and
3p per stream.
How can you come back from a situation like that? That's where the problem lies. Yeah, it's brilliant, and everybody, in the age of the internet now is going, oh, fantastic. Don't have to, go out and buy
Napster all over again.
Yeah, you don't have to go out and buy, my record or my CD or whatever. And I mean, look at the trouble that the guy from Napster got in for even making that website. And they've done it.
But
legally.
that's what the culture. That's how the culture, came about. Is because he did that. Because what's his name? It's been a while since I've watched The Social Network.
Yeah, I know he's played by Justin Timberlake.
So since Justin Timberlake did that, he, not him, but it's we've now in that culture of music is free. In a general sense, music is free.
And this is the thing, how does that need to change? I mean, we're sat here trying to make a business off of this, and we're telling everyone else that they need to pay, but we're massive hypocrites. Come on, we need to. But,
so hypocritical.
But the only problem then, if you go back the other way, is music that is then unaffordable to such a large amount of people. I like even going back to when I was 14, 15 on my Apple Music, and you've got to pay like 99p a single or whatever. I couldn't do that. Do you know what I mean? I got new music every 3 months when I could put 15
well, if we're
together.
if we're paying for, don't know about you, but if you're paying for Netflix, you're paying for Spotify, you're paying for every other subscription that you got, going on, then just general food, living, that sort of stuff. Then, music, it's sad, but it's the extra bits. I think I think the honour system works really well. I think an honour system would work really well. I mean, a lot of places just put on free venues, free events, and just expect to get the money from food and drink.
But
a nice
how
little.
does that go to the musicians?
Yeah, it would.
Like, a lot of the
Well,
time
you just pay a rate.
I guess
you just
it's,
go, I'm going to give you.
it's exposure for the musicians at the end of the day, but that's again not
get a band
enough,
of 4
is
on
it?
and say, right, I'll give you £100.
Yeah.
Split 25 between each of them. The highest I ever got paid I was playing with From the Jam, and I got paid £25 for that. That's the highest I ever got paid for a gig. It was a good gig, but you don't get that much, and that was a sold out gig as well, in a venue that was held about 500 people.
What about like venues nationwide? Like what about those kind of venues? What do we know?
Mean? Like, as in, are they under threat?
Yeah.
No, yeah, like it's the whole of the UK.
Just,
We've lost. What was the one that I was really quite sad about? It was there was a one in Liverpool where it was a radio station as well. They got closed down. It was all it's all sort of grassroots promotion stuff like that. But they got closed down. That was really sad. But there is a sort of silver lining in the sort of the stuff that Music Venue Trust are doing with the lobbying and also with the pipeline investment. So they can save venues, but it takes a lot of work. And you just end up seeing we're just going to keep seeing this trend until something drastic happens, or we will end up losing it.
Sorry, go on.
Sorry, it's hard. We just keep butting in, but
apologies.
it's no worries. I just want to add, like, with social media, I know so many artists are coming out from that. And I know it's not the same. It's not the same as grassroots venues.
It looks like that they're coming out of social media. They're not. Everybody. It looks, if you're good with the camera and stuff like that, that is, it's a big benefit and it works. It does help. But you want to go, if you're going to go see that artist, they've got to be good, and they will have most of them. Like Sam Ryder, he would have, he played a lot in Colchester, where I'm from. So he did a lot of stuff, years before he made it big on sort of TikTok and social media. It's just a new aspect, and it's a big part of it.
How do you translate those views into money?
Yeah, well, I guess.
I mean, obviously, it goes back to the same thing. Where the problem is there isn't any money in the music making, right?
No.
It's all about the merch. Like everybody.
Yeah, you have to get.
Touring musicians will, and if they're not selling merch, they will come back from.
If it's social media, you have to get sponsors.
Sell out arenas. Or other than sponsors, but they could sell out arenas. They could sell out all of this sort of stuff. They don't sell their merch. They're not making money, which feels ridiculous. That the music industry shouldn't be. The money shouldn't come from the merch. That should be a lovely added extra. Yeah. Surely the musicians should get more money. But I mean,
it's just a weird culture that we live in at the moment. So like in the 70s, you'd had Led Zeppelin, and their manager, whose name escapes me now, he set the precedent of 90-10, which is 90% to the band and 10% to the venue. And we don't have that now. I think bands or people who don't have managers or anything like that are afraid to negotiate a little bit. There is a side to it for that. It's not for the fault of their own. Yeah. It's more sort of some venues saying we're doing you a favour.
Yeah, we're going to try.
They're not going to say that to them, but that's the environment that they're working in.
Like surely not everybody's going to be strong enough or have the knowledge enough to back their own and that's where it comes from, right? They're people with money, which are the venues, well, not the venue, but like the people running the business and promoting musicians. Yeah, they will look.
But I would say on the grassroots side, it's everybody's in it together. Yeah, I will say if you are talking about those sort of big arena venues and stuff like that, then yes, there is very much those stuff. But grassroots, the margins are so slim for it's 0.5 profit.
How do we go about fixing that?
How do you go about fixing it? Go to gigs. Everybody, go to gigs. Support your local venues. That's all you have to do. Yeah. Go out, spend some money, have a great time. Yeah. Drink, don't drink. It doesn't matter. Just go out, support the venue, whack them all on social.
And I guess that's what feedback is. Yeah. We're supporting the local venues. We're supporting the grassroots.
Ultimately,
venues.
though, does that not just end up funneling money into big arenas who aren't they? Are they really?
It doesn't matter. Well, it doesn't matter then. If everybody's getting rich, everybody's making music, everybody's happy, then that's it. Go to the grassroots music venues, then go see an arena one. Just alternate.
Yeah, there's no wrong way of doing it.
No,
if it's
just
if it's going to shit anyway, then you've got to just
go.
Keep supporting.
That's what I think. Yeah, you can't ask. You can't ask the people who audience members any more than that. Go see a gig. They're great.
Well, on that thought, we'll absolutely wrap it up. I don't think there's any better place to end a sort of episode about music venues than go to a gig.
Go to a gig. It is.
Go to a gig.
Get your phone out right now. Look up your local. Just put gigs in my area.
For free. They're usually free as well. You can buy a pint. It doesn't matter. Just go to a venue. If it's free, brilliant. Buy a pint or something like that, and then just promote them on your social media, and someone might go, "Ooh, I want to go see them next time." Anything, it doesn't matter.
Just like we do.
And buy merch.
For the price of a pint, I was able to see snooker legend Steve Davis at Hallamshire House, and he was superb. Loads of house, loads of fun for free.
Spontaneous fun night. Get your friends.
These venues, you have
get
to
out there.
Yeah. But we have been we've been the Soundcheck Podact, Feedback Network. Next week we have got our second proper episode.
Woo.
This time, our first ever guest, Phil Thorns, a local amateur musician photographer. We'll be talking to him about all things visuals and how to make your band look the best. We hope you've enjoyed.
It's gonna be very good
With this podcast. And,
yeah.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks for joining us, guys.
Very much.
See you next week.
Bye.